In today's video, we're reviewing every single Premier League fixture, breaking down the FPL talking points and highlighting the standout best players in FPL. So by the end of the video, you'll know exactly who impressed, who disappointed, and what we learned heading into Game Week 5. So, let's get into this. Welcome to today's FPL review and best players video, where we review every single Premier League fixture and take a look at the best performing FPL assets. Of course, if you're brand new to the channel, feel free to subscribe for future FPL content and deadline streams, and don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy it as well. We're starting things off with Arsenal versus Forest. A very dominant performance from Arsenal. Forest didn't see too much joy within this fixture. We of course had Mendy score a brace, I think for the first time ever in his footballing career. So 2 goals for him at this game week, and of course a massive 16-pointer by the end of it, with of course 3 additional bonus points. You also had Gabriel prove that the FPL meta right now is within centre-backs. They also have massive defensive contribution actions within fixtures, other than fullbacks who don't really get too many defensive actions like we've seen in the season so far. So for me, Gabriel proves the fact that centre-backs are probably more optimal to pick in FPL right now, rather than a fullback from that team. So you look at this team, for example, in Arsenal, we already seen here Gabriel with 9, Timber with 8. I was surprised that Timber got a full 90 minutes. I think it's mainly to do with the fitness of Ben White, of course. We've seen Calafiori come off a little bit earlier, I do believe, as well. Overall, with this fixture, I don't think it taught us too much in terms of what Postecoglou is going to do with Forest. We've seen Chris Wood come off a little bit early, so maybe some alarm bells are ringing for those who own Chris Wood in FPL. But this game was just really a dominant performance from Arsenal. We didn't really expect much else. Happy for my team personally that Gyökeres went and got a goal. I maybe expected him to do a tiny bit more within the fixture, but overall, a very dominant performance in this fixture for Arsenal. It seems like Semenyo is just the absolute one that got away. I've been ignoring him for a while, and he just keeps on performing week after week. He's definitely caught my eye this week, but I don't think I'm going to bring him in just yet. Maybe that's delusion, but I don't think my squad's entirely set up for that transfer. A goal and an assist for him this week, and of course most importantly, the goal coming from a penalty kick. When Evan Nielsen was on the pitch, I thought Evan Nielsen would take duties off Kluivert's hand. Of course, Kluivert hasn't been playing for Bournemouth in the latest fixtures. You also seen Senesi get defensive contribution points again for the 4th game week in a row. It's absolutely crazy. Maybe you could get defensive contributions in every fixture this season. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, 3 bonus points for Semenyo this game week, making him the top scorer from this particular fixture. Matoma getting a goal, just proving he is just a Premier League player. Massive quality behind him. But yeah, Bournemouth really impressing me so far in FPL. I might have to look into getting Semenyo in the next few weeks. My team, Sunderland, getting a massive point against Crystal Palace, and I cannot stress this enough. Robin Roofs put in a goalkeeping performance that I've just never seen a goalkeeper move in the way he did. He was absolutely incredible within this game, just unbelievable. There was a shot from Kamada outside the box, and I was like, oh my god, it's in. I was about to cry basically, because we defended so well all game, and somehow he got his hand to it. I think Sunderland now within the Premier League, people are starting to give them maybe a bit more respect after these first 4 results we've had. Apart from the Burnley fixture, we sadly lost away from home, but Burnley do look really good at home, as they proved against Liverpool, which we'll take a look at later in the video. Not too much to report overall from this fixture, other than Sunderland defensively do actually look really, really strong. Another 0-0 draw between Everton and Aston Villa. I always said to people when they asked me what should I do with Watkins, I said wait, this fixture's not too bad, and then you've got next week's fixture as well. I'm now starting to think maybe Villa are just going to get relegated. They're just not scoring goals. What's going on? You have to score goals to be able to win matches. Maybe they don't realise that yet, but all jokes aside, they do have some pretty good fixtures coming up, Villa, so we'll have to see how they perform. But this fixture, very close one, 0-0 of course, and Dye coming away with defensive contribution points in this game. Very unexpected, but it was mainly the defenders that came away with the big pointers. You've got Tyrone Mings on 9, and you've got an Everton player in Tarkowski, who again, I think as well, for the 4th time this season, got defensive contribution points, the same as Senesi in the previous few slides. He's had defensive contributions consistently through the season, and again, it will probably continue, so perhaps a player to be looking at. But overall, pretty boring game, and I think Villa do need to start scoring some goals very soon. The header to win this game in the last few minutes was unbelievable technique, but it wasn't from a Fulham player, it was from a Leeds player, Goodmanson. An unbelievable goal, but it was an own goal. I mean, if you haven't seen it, just go and watch the clip. It doesn't quite make sense to me. I think perhaps he's just seen the ball at the last second and it's maybe just hit him and went in. I don't know if he's trying to flick it on, but it is a pretty comical goal, and Fulham there do get awarded with all 3 points. Nevertheless, though, you've got some defensive masterclasses yet again. Maybe just owning 5 at the back is the way to go this season, but the player I owned in this squad from Fulham was Anderson, of course, coming away with defensive contribution points, so why we picked him. And I didn't maybe expect it from Leeds for him to get the opportunity for defensive contributions, but I did mention in my team selection video that Leeds are an attacking team if they can be within a fixture, if they have control and the means to do so. I think Ampadu being back was a massive plus for Leeds. So maybe not all bad news for them, but very devastating to miss out on a point from a very late own goal. But yeah, overall, 1-0 to Fulham. Anderson, the star of the show. 1-0 to Newcastle within this fixture. It looks like Wolves could be in a bit of trouble this season. You've got Valdemade, who stepped up on his Premier League debut and taken that header extremely well. The technique used to score that header, I thought, is really difficult to do. So massive props for him for stepping up in the absence of Johan Wissa. I did expect him to get a few more minutes. He did come off around the 74th-ish minute, if I do remember rightly. Osula coming on for him, but he did come out and say in a post-match interview that he had cramps and perhaps he wasn't really ready for the physicality and levels that the Premier League are on. And of course, you have to understand that coming from a league like the Bundesliga. So overall, Newcastle coming away with 3 points. Maybe that upsets me a little bit as a Sunderland fan, but mind the gap, Newcastle fans. I'm only joking, but Shah, defensive contribution points. Very surprising that he's the only one within the Newcastle squad that had defensive contribution points. Bruno getting close, missing out by 1. And you look at Gomez in the midfield for Wolves, 18 defensive contribution points. That's a lot. That's, you only need 12, mate. You can calm down a bit. Agbadu as well coming away with 14. You had 3 bonus points for Valdemade coming away with 9 points. Fantastic from his Premier League debut. I did say that Thomas Frank would come to Spurs and do really well, and he has just done that. 3-0 to Spurs against West Ham, who look in serious trouble this Premier League season. It looks like their players don't even want to play for them at their home ground. Very embarrassing for West Ham fans, of course. But Spurs, let's speak mostly about them there. You've got Van der Ven with 14 points from the game week, scoring a goal, getting a lot of bonus points alongside Christian Romero. Just a dominant performance defensively. You then look forward. You had Bergvall performing at a very top level. A goal, the header actually was fantastically taken from the Romero assist. You had Xavi Simons with an assist from a set piece. Definitely one to look out for at 7 million in FPL. I feel as though he could be rotated in and out a bit more than people think. We have to wait and see in the next few fixtures how he works alongside Brennan Johnson, if they kind of share minutes off the left. If Kudus goes, who knows how Thomas Frank is going to use him. But for now, it looks to be off the left. Again, like I said, defensively, really strong from Spurs. That's why most of the points are. Pedro Porro not doing as well as a centre-back pairing. Looks like he's not on as many set pieces now either, which I did mention a few weeks ago could be a problem, and I think it might start to be a problem in the next few weeks of FPL. Potentially a player I might look to move on a wild card for a different type of player. Mostly centre-backs I'm going to be going for in FPL. I think that's just the meta we need to be looking at right now. But yeah, Spurs look really great. 3-0 Spurs against West Ham. Brentford 2, Chelsea 2, the return of Cole Palmer back into the Chelsea side. I thought he would start the game personally. It was hard to tell, of course, what was going to happen with a lot of the South American players who play for Chelsea with that long flight time, where they're going to start straight away. We've seen João Pedro actually start within the fixture. He did get an assist in this game. Not as sort of bad as I thought it would be in terms of players that I don't own doing well against me. So I'll take that any day of the week. Very good performance from Caicedo, getting a very good goal. 3 bonus points for Caicedo, 2 for João Pedro, 1 for Palmer, 1 for Carvalho, 1 for Henderson. Nice to see Henderson back in the Premier League. Of course, I'm a Sunderland fan. I will always have big respect for Jordan Henderson, but it's really nice to see him back on the pitch. Yeah, really interesting game. I transferred out Tosin this game week and went for a Virgil van Dijk instead. Paid off massively for me. Tosin only got, I believe, a 1 point of this game week. And just about missing out on defensive contributions, thank God. You'll know I was watching that like an absolute hawk in that game. So yeah, overall in FPL, we know that Cole Palmer's back now, potentially someone we can look to transfer back in to our FPL teams, and perhaps Brentford aren't as bad as we think. Seen a lot of discourse in the FPL space calling Mo Salah and his owners the luckiest ever. I can't believe he scored a last minute penalty again. Last minute, oh my God. Let's be real here. We pick Mohamed Salah because he is historically been the best FPL player ever. He's the GOAT of FPL. That's number 1. The next one is we pick him because he's on penalties. He plays for Liverpool and he plays more than 90 minutes every single match. So when he scores a penalty in the 95th minute, it's not really a big surprise, is it? It's not exactly luck. It's literally why we pick him. Understand the luck aspect. It's a handball in the last few minutes of the game. Oh my God. But at the end of the day, this is why we pick Mohamed Salah. I think what this game taught us about is not so much Liverpool. It's mainly Burnley. How are they going to set up against the harder teams in the league? They're going to literally put every player behind the ball, in their own box even, just move side to side and not let you get any joy whatsoever. Great viewing to watch in the Premier League, but to win games, this is absolutely tactically what they should be doing. Absolute hats off to them for almost getting through with the point against the best team in England. I think we can see Burnley travel away to Man City in a few weeks in game week 6 and see them deploy the exact same strategy. So I don't really know if captaining someone like Erling Haaland is going to be amazing against Burnley, like we've seen just with Mohamed Salah, but at least he plays up front, so he'll be inside the box. But overall, I think this taught us more about Burnley than Liverpool. But yeah, Salah coming away with 9 points, Canate 9, Virgil van Dijk 8. Man City bullying Manchester United in all departments, and especially tactically in my eyes. I think Amorim is in some serious trouble if he doesn't fix what his team looks like. They just look an absolute mess, and it was exposed massively from Erling Haaland. Reinders really exposed them for this as well. You've got Doku, who had a fantastic game. Foden back from the dead, scoring a goal. But of course, the standout performer being Erling Haaland. A lot of people jumping on him before the Arsenal fixture. Maybe that doesn't make too much sense to me. Haaland's only had 2 attack and returns against Arsenal in the last 4 games, the last 2 seasons. Of course, massive changes to the Arsenal side as well as the Manchester City side, so we'll see how the game goes. But you know, after 2 goals in this fixture, I think it does make sense to look and pay attention to Erling Haaland. Foden back in the squad does mean that a potential option of mine in Oscar Bob, someone who I was really looking forward to owning, might not even be an option right now. So that's a bit upsetting to me personally. I was really looking forward to potentially getting a cheap asset in Oscar Bob in my FPL team. But yeah, Foden seems to be back, which is going to be really interesting, especially if he keeps up the confidence after scoring a goal in the derby. It's going to be really interesting to see who makes the move for him as well in this game week. But tactical domination from Manchester City against Manchester United in this fixture. Tomorrow's video is my transfer plans video, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. And I always like to outro my videos with a massive thank you to you guys at home for supporting the FPL Mugs YouTube channel. Of course, if you did enjoy today's video, go ahead and drop a like, and if you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, go subscribe for future FPL content and deadline streams. But that is absolutely everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.